All right, let's move to East Africa, where inflation is beginning to moderate in a number of economies, paving the way for a possible cut in headline interest rates. On Tuesday, the Kenya Central Bank lowered its key rate to 12.75%, while the Bank of Uganda reduced its rate by 25 basis points to 10% on Wednesday. Let's take a brief from the rate decision by the Uganda acting governor, Michael Atingi.
On 7th August 2024, the Bank of Uganda Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, reduced the central bank rate, CBR, by 25 basis points to 10%. In the 12th month to July 2024, domestic inflation continued to moderate, with annual headline and core inflation averaging 3.2% and 3% respectively, below the medium-term policy target of 5%. This is due to the fading impacts of global shocks like the war in Ukraine and COVID-19, the tightening of monetary policy early this year, and the exchange rate that has stabilized with a bias towards appreciation since March 2024. The relative stability of the shilling against the US dollar has benefited from the recent CBR increases and inflows from coffee exports owing to the favorable international coffee prices. Nonetheless, both annual headline and core inflation edged up slightly to 4% from 3.9% and 3.8% in June 2024, respectively. The increase in inflation was largely due to the increases in passenger transport, accommodation, recreation, sports, and culture services inflation. The increase in the services inflation was 6.5% in July from 6.1% in June 2024. Looking forward, the Bank of Uganda expects inflation to be below the 5% target in financial year 2024/25, broadly reflecting stable demand conditions, lower imported inflation, and exchange rate stability. The inflation projection has been revised slightly downwards relative to June 2024 forecast round, largely due to a lesser depreciated shilling exchange rate. However, we expect inflation to continue rising moderately in the next 4 months due to seasonal factors, but stabilize around the target of 5% by the first quarter of 2025. There are, however, persistent uncertainties around the inflation projection, including the effects of a possible escalation of the ongoing geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, potential energy price hikes, unfavorable weather patterns affecting food crop production, and a stronger than expected path for domestic demand. In addition, the signs of lingering inflation in other parts of the world and heightened volatility in both capital flows and the exchange rate could result in the stronger depreciation of the shilling exchange rate and therefore higher inflation than currently assumed. Conversely, the continued unwinding of the past shocks to energy and other imported goods prices may moderate inflation. The risks around the projection for inflation are judged to be balanced by several external shocks. GDP growth picked up in the last 2 quarters of financial year 2023/24, with an average growth of 6.7% year on year, compared to a growth of 5.3% in the first 2 quarters of the financial year.